Hi there and welcome to Transcona Trailer Sales. Today I'm going to be walking you through your 2025 Forest River Wildwood Grand Lodge 42Fldl. We are just going to start off at the back of the unit. If you notice in the top right hand corner there, you are pre-mounted for a liquid collapsible stair system. If you'd like to get set up with that, you can contact your parts department. It is going to be a great addition for this camper, especially here as it is so tall. It's going to allow you to get up to your roof with ease and check all your seals periodically. It's going to be a great little addition. Just contact your parts department. They can put together a quote for getting you set up on that. And then also at the back is going to be your cable satellite inlet in case you had that set up at your campsite. Then coming around to the driver's side of the unit in the back left corner, right down here near the ground, you got your 3/4 inch drive nut. This is going to be your stabilizer jack. You do have one in all four corners of the unit. The way they work is you're just taking the 3/4 inch drive tool, hooking it up to this nut here, running this foot down to the ground. Once the foot does contact the ground, just give me another 1/8 turn. It's going to take me bounce or sway you see we have in the unit right now away. And just keeping in mind that these are stabilizing jacks. They're not leveling jacks. So please keep that in mind when you're using them. We don't want you to bend them. Same thing goes for if you're running them up or down using an impact. Just keeping in mind how much torque you do put on them, and then you do have some welded on ground anchors in case you want to get set up with that. And then you also have your exterior little storage compartment located here. You're going to find your standard starter kit. It's going to come with a 10-foot sewer hose, 15-foot water hose, a 15-amp park adapter, and some other miscellaneous goodies. In addition to that, you do get that manual jack tool for your stabilizer jack. Whenever you're using the storage compartment, just keeping in mind that you do have your VersaTilt bed control right here, so you're not going to be wanting to pack anything too tightly in here running up against that because it could cause some damage. And then you do get access to this compartment through your bed on the inside, so that's another way to access it. And coming around over here, get your 50-amp power cord. You get this silver strip here. It lines up with this silver strip on this side. You are just pushing that firmly into place, lining the tabs up like so. 8 turn to lock it in, and then you got that threaded collar to really lock it down. If you follow that cord back, you do have your standard 50-amp plug-in. Now a lot of campsites may not have this, so that's why we do include this 30-amp dog bone adapter. Just keeping in mind when you are using that dog bone adapter, because this unit is equipped with 2 air conditioners, you can only run 1 air conditioner at a time on a 30-amp service. So whenever you're using that adapter, just keeping in mind that. And then that 15-amp adapter is to go to a household outlet. You're not going to be able to run any air conditioners on that. Really, it's just going to be to run your fridge and your lights. And then you get your sewer exits. So this first one here is going to be for your washer-dryer combo. Now, because this unit's equipped with a washer-dryer combo, whenever you're using the washer, you always have to ensure that you do take this cap off. So you're allowing the water to then exit once it doesn't want to drain. Failure to take this cap off and run a load inside your washer is going to cause it to back up into the unit, which we don't want. So just being very careful that you do take that cap off whenever you're using it. But maybe securing it back on when you're not using it is a good idea, just to stop any rodents or anything from climbing inside of there, unless you do hard plummet into your emptying tank. The second one, it's going to work the same way as that one. Sewer hose lines up with these tabs here. You got a black valve and a gray valve. You always want to empty your black valve first. This is going to be your dirtiest water, fill from your toilets. And then you come behind that with your gray valve, which is typically cleaner water filled from your sinks and your showers. And then you do have your fresh tank drain, also located behind this big beam here, in between the tire and the beam. You can see the little white handle there. Pulling it out is going to allow all the water to then exit the tank. Got your city water protection, so if you're at a site with service, you can just thread a garden hose in there, turn it on. It's going to pressurize all the lines without the need to run your water pump. Or you do have your fresh tank fill, and the way that works is taking this cap off, putting a garden hose in there, turning it on. It's going to fill up that fresh tank, and that's what your water pump draws off of. Now you can also siphon water in through here as well, just being careful when you do so. Service port for your hot water heater. Main thing you're going to have to worry about, power switch in the far right corner. Does supply power to the thermostat inside. Turning it off kills the power to the thermostat inside. Then you get your pressure relief valve. So we're going to go over a couple winterizing notes. If you've winterized a camper before, typically you probably had a tanked water heater, in which case there's bypass valves behind it, which you had to turn because you didn't want antifreeze entering the system. Now this system is the total opposite because it's tankless, so it's just a bunch of copper coils wrapped around in a circle, big flame in the middle, and that's what heats your water as it flows through it. You do want to run antifreeze through this unit. There's going to be no bypass valve behind it. And once you're done your winterization process completely, just cracking this pressure relief valve, leaving it cracked open for the duration of winter. Furnace exhaust, whenever that's on, it is going to be blowing out hot air, so just be mindful of that. And also, right here, up into this fender skirt, you do have your low point drains. Right here, the 2 white valves. You're going to have one for hot, one for cold. It's going to try and drain as much water out of the lines as possible. It's a good method to crack it open during winterization once you're done, again, after you crack the water heater one, just to allow most of that antifreeze out of the system. Then you get your last sewer exit right up front here. That is going to be for your galley tank, so it's just going to be for the kitchen sink. I'm now walking all the way up to the front. Get your 2 propane tanks located underneath this cover here. You're just loosening off these tabs, and most of the time you can get what you need done just by loosening off the tabs. Flipping open the cover, get access to the top of the tanks. For the purpose of the video, I can just slide it right off. Got your 2 standard 30-pound tanks. They work just like barbecue. And then you have your selector valve on the front of your regulator with it pointed this way. You're drawing off this tank. If this tank were to go dry, turning it off, disconnecting it, then you can flip it over to this side and start drawing off that tank. Like any standard barbecue, counterclockwise, opening it up all the way nice and slow to open up the flow of propane to the unit. Right up front, 27 RV battery. You're probably not going to have to worry about that because you are at a seasonal site. Then coming down this side of the unit, you got your patio door entrance, which we aren't entering through today, because it's best to enter through this side when everything's closed up. Now to get inside, you are taking that stair, pulling it toward you. It's going to allow the first stair to come down, last stair to fold down, and you can open up your door and walk on inside. First thing you notice, you walk in the door, everything's off, everything's closed. You're going to have to come in through the door into your main hallway. There is going to be a fire extinguisher hidden behind that curtain there, so that's just like home, pull the pin and shoot. Always mindful of where that is in case something ever were to start on fire. And now once we're in here, got your main kind of control area. Power button turns on all the main living space lights. It's on a dimmer, so you can go bright to dim. And then right up top, you got your monitor panel system. So pushing the tank gives you the corresponding level. It doesn't have a black 2, it does only have a gray galley and black 1. And then of course you push battery, it's going to tell you the corresponding level. A bunch of different switches down here, water pump switch being one of them, which draws out of your fresh tank. And then you have an awning LED strip light, which you can turn on, as well as some accent lights, which turn on underneath the island and behind the slide outs. And then last but not least, we do got your awning switch and your slide out switch. Now before we do run those slide outs, just want to go over a few notes whenever you're running your slide out in or out. Always being mindful of what's on either side of the slide, inside and out. You're going to want to make sure there's going to be nothing trapping it or getting pinched in between the slide and the wall, or the slide and then the island. Making sure everything can come in or out freely, nice and even, without any issues. And then pushing and holding the out button, the slide outs are going to start making their way out. It's going to push out the one with the least resistance first, so in which case it's probably the bedroom. Then it's going to push out the passenger side slide, and then the driver side slide always does go last. So again, just pushing and holding the buttons. Slide outs are going to start making their way out. They may not all go out evenly. You hear this, the bedroom slide going out. Now this slide behind you is going to start going out. And then last, your kitchen slide will go out. Again, just always making sure you know you have enough room on all sides of the trailer, and of course on the inside. Now when you hear your motor start to wind up like that and the lights start to dim, you know you're at your full extension. And a way to be extra sure, if you want to be extra cautious, is just making sure that this rubber seal, the contact against the side of the wall on all your slide outs, that way you're sealing out water. Then you do have your awning switch last. Pushing and holding the out button, the awning is going to start making its way out. Unfortunately today we're not going to be able to get that awning to its full extension just due to space. Always wanting to try and watch it as you're pushing it out, because as you can see I'm probably already running out of room now. So that is all we're going to be able to go out today. Now if we're going to start raining, you can take any arm, front or rear, pull down at the center. It's going to change the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to now run off. Now of course if you like that angle better, you can do the same thing with the front arm. It's going to allow for more shade underneath. And whenever winds start to pick up, you're always going to want to keep an eye on that awning. Bring it in if it starts getting too windy. You don't want to rip or bend the arms. And then of course, if you ever do have to roll it in while it's wet, try and roll it out at your next earliest convenience. That way you can allow it time to dry off, and putting it in is as simple as holding the in button, the awning starts rolling in. Once the arms contact the side of the trailer, motors will automatically cut out. And that's all done. So now we're gonna go back into the bedroom space just so we can finish where we started. Light switch is on the far, this does your porch light, the little orange light above the doorway. And the light switch for inside the bedroom is just behind the door. Turning the light switch on turns on all the lights inside here. Now all the lights are on their own center push button, so you can turn them on and off as you desire. In case you don't want them all on, all the blinds in the unit do it the same way. They just kind of sit where you leave them. One quick pull will retract them and allow them to come up. All storage in this unit, there's tons of storage in here. Always being mindful of drains, water lines, and wiring whenever you're using any of it. Dresser space, got your main cable satellite outlet here. You're gonna notice this little green light runs off this black button. Now that does turn the antenna on the roof. It's also gonna improve radio frequency and cell phone frequency. So I typically recommend leaving it on whenever you are at your campsite. But if you're leaving your camper for a while, you're gonna wanna make sure you do turn it off, as it does draw battery power. Got your versatile bed control. One way is up, the other way is down. Pretty self-explanatory. Again, storage all throughout. Picking up the foot of the bed, lifting it up. Right down below there, you're gonna have some sink attachments that go inside that main sink, and I'll tell you about that in a second. You're also gonna find all your central vac tools under there as well. Now this unit is equipped with a washer dryer combo, but of course noticing the travel straps, that goes for all the travel straps you're gonna see throughout the unit, making sure they're all latched anytime you go to travel anywhere. That way nothing's slamming or opening up, causing any damage. Washer dryer combo, pretty self-explanatory. The water hookup for them is inside here. Now this will have to be winterized when it does come time for that, so keep that in mind as well. Always running a quick cycle with antifreeze. The antifreeze inlet is behind this drawer, so you're going to pull this drawer towards you. There's going to be black tabs on either side. Pulling them opposite ways of each other will allow this drawer to slide right out of its tracks. And then your water pump will be down below, and you'll be able to find the bypass hose. If you follow the bypass, once you find the bypass hose and you follow it back, it'll lead you to a valve. Turning the valve, so then you're then drawing off that hose, sticking the hose inside your jug of antifreeze and running it through all your lines. And that'll be your winterization process. So in here, you're gonna have your second thermostat. Now this thermostat is only gonna control this for your air conditioner. It's not gonna control anything else. So you're pushing the button once it illuminates itself, push it again. You're gonna turn it over to the cool option, push enter, enter. Now you're gonna be cooling. You're gonna notice where it says fan here, it says auto high. Now that does mean it's an on-demand system. So if the room is actually 21, and if you have the room set to 17, once the room reaches 17, it'll automatically cut the air conditioner. If you have the fan on either high or low, without the auto on there, that air conditioner is going to run continuously regardless of what the room is set to. Now you can also just run the fan on this air conditioner. You just have to cycle that to off. Then you can run to your fan, move it over to the high option, and you're just moving air around using the air conditioner, no heating or cooling involved. So that's one way you can kind of cheat the system. Back off to turn it off. Now we are going to take this another step up, back into the main living space. It's taking a step on in here. Get your bunk spaces on either side. Pretty much just bunk spaces for the kids. You got some storage, you got some plug-ins, stuff like that. Taking a step inside of the bathroom. Opening up that door. Again, standard bathroom, main GFI plug here on the wall. If you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, they all are hooked up through GFI, so this would be the first place I'd look. You got test in the middle, reset down below. Always making sure the system's not tripped if you ever have an outlet that doesn't work. On the wall on the other side here, you're going to have your thermostat for your water heater on and off at the press of a button. Now you can push it up or down to change your set desired water temperature. Let's say 50 degrees Celsius isn't hot enough for you. Suburban does include a feature, so it's locked to 50 degrees right off the bat, just so kids can't scold their hands. Now, hopefully, if you have kids, they're not watching this, because if you hold the button up for 5 seconds, it does unlock the thermostat. It's going to allow you to go up to 55. And then if you drop it below 50 again, it does relock itself. Celsius and Fahrenheit with the press of a button, power button, turn it back off. Then you got your vent control, because there's a vent way up top there. To operate the vent, you do have to turn the fan on first before you try opening or closing the vent. Holding the vent lid open button, the vent lid starts making its way up. You hear it wind up, so you know it's all the way open, and then you can close it by holding the close button, and it's going to close all the way down. The motor's wound up, turn the button off. Pretty simple. Now, because this unit is equipped with propane, you got your LP detector right here near the ground. If this guy ever starts going off, don't panic. Just turn off the main supply of propane, open up some windows and vents to get some fresh oxygen inside of here. Up on the wall, you got a couple different switches. This switch is going to do the illumination lights right above your island. It's awesome if you're doing the dishes. This main regular light switch turns on that ceiling light fan over there. And then you got your second thermostat, which is going to work the same way as the back one, but you're going to have the furnace option you're able to use through this. The furnace does only have one fan speed. It moves all its air through the floor portals we have throughout the unit, and it runs for an additional 3 minutes after you do turn it off. Now it's the main living space. I already went over all that over there. You're going to notice tons of storage all throughout this unit. You're going to notice inside the slide out area, you got some travel straps holding those chairs in because we don't want them flying around during travel. Accent lighting, you're going to find a bunch throughout the unit on their own center push buttons. You can turn them on and off as you find it. You got your residential style fridge, which is pretty much self-explanatory. And then you come to your sink. Now this is probably one of the coolest sinks I've seen in a camper in a while. It's really cool. You got your soap dispenser, which is a refillable bottle underneath. You just have to unscrew it, pull it down. You got your cup cleaner. Now just keep in mind the cup cleaner, if you press down on it without a cup on it, water's going to shoot probably right up to the ceiling. It's going to get pretty wet. So just keep that in mind. If you have young kids that might want to spray it, just make sure you maybe put a cover over it, because like I said, if you don't have a cover over it, you push it down, it just sprays freely. You got your water control over here. So when you turn it to the right, it's going to turn on the sink head, regular mode. The first little bit you turn it cold, and then the last bit is hot. And then if you turn it to the left, you turn on your garden sprayer. And like I said, there's some attachments you can insert into the sink to use that more, I guess, freely. This little power button, I'm not sure why there's a power symbol on the top, but it just opens and closes your drain. It's going to be it for that there. You got your convection oven, which is pretty much just like home again. And then you do have the built-in range hood option, so just push the button, high fan, low fan, off. Same thing for the light is right up top. I always recommend running your range hood whenever you are running your stove. That way you're evacuating those propane fumes as you're making them, because as you burn off propane, it does take oxygen out of the air. Now we're going to go over a few propane notes. Whenever you turn the propane system off at the front of the unit, or if you ever disconnect one of the bottles, it allows air into the system. Once air is into the system, it does have to be purged out. Now the quickest, easiest way to do that is through firing your stove, because you can hold the gas valve open for as long as you need until you do start getting gas flowing through it. If you were go to fire up your water heater or your furnace without purging the system first, there is a chance that it could throw a fault code at you. And if you don't know what the fault code means, it could throw a little bit of frustration into your weekend, and we do want to try to avoid that. So that's why we're going to use the stove today. It's the quickest, easiest way. You're just taking that knob, pushing it in, turning it over to the high/light option, and you're going to see it does fire up. Of course, it fired up pretty quickly today just because I already had the system running earlier. Typically, it can take a few minutes, especially with a unit of this size. So please be patient with it, but you're going to see that it does eventually light. Of course, just always making sure if you ever hear that clicking stop, that you do turn the gas valve off. That way you're not spraying a buildup of gas, which if the igniter was to then randomly kick in for some reason, could be a small combustion and take out some of your eyebrows and eyelashes, which we do want to try and avoid, and I'm sure your significant other does too. So just being careful with it, of course being smart. Lighting the oven is the same way. It's going to be a little harder to see it, but you still can see it. So if you're going to pull that door open, now the oven does take exceptionally longer to light if the system hasn't been purged, just because the gas orifice for the pilot's so small. The middle knobs for the oven, pushing and turning it into the pilot, pushing and holding it in and looking through this grate, you're going to then see that pilot lights Again, sometimes it can take a few minutes, so just be patient with it. And then turning it up to your desired temperature, and it does fire right on up. Then of course you got oven light you can turn on, as well as some illumination lights for the knobs. Pretty cool. Again, accent lighting all throughout. You got your main entertainment center here. In addition to that, opening up, you get a huge pantry space for whatever you wanted to put back there. Once that's closed, you got your TV, of course, noticing the travel strap again, because you want to make sure that's latched down whenever you're moving. And then down below, you get your main sound system. Power button on the bottom right there turns it on. It's pretty much just like home, minus the fact if you're going to have zone A, B, and C speakers. I'm going to turn that back off so YouTube doesn't demonetize us. We got A speakers, which is going to be the rear set of speakers, B speakers, which is going to be these front set of speakers, and C speakers, which is your outside speakers. Other than that, you get your input zones, aux, USB, HDMI, things like that. Down below, you got your fireplace, power button on the far right. Right beside it, you got your different flame colors. The one in the middle does your rock light colors. And then 2 in from the left does your different heat options. Pushing it twice puts you in low heat. Pushing it a third time will get you into high heat. And then you do have a timer that goes anywhere from 30 minutes to 9 hours. Now, let's say you had some additional guests, plus that aren't going to fit inside your front, your loft. This also does fold out into a bed. You just happen to take these back cushions, pull them out of the way, grab the foot of the couch, pull it towards you. It's going to fold out. There's going to be legs you fold out, and then you just take your back cushion, fold it down. You have yourself another bed. You got your 2 recliner chairs here. Recliners just on either side here. A little black tab. You pull it, going to recline out. Storage right in the center. That is going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.